We're recording. You want me to start?
Yep, you can start.
The following is the agenda of the regular council meeting of the Borough of Pompton Lakes Mayor and Council Municipal Corporation, the County of Passaic. The meeting will begin at 7:30 p.m. on January 26, 2022. In the municipal building consistent with the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, the meeting will be open for public comments. Public comments may be made at designated times during the meeting and may be submitted in writing to be read aloud during the meeting. Comments to be read at the meeting must be submitted at least 24 hours prior to the meeting by email or to the clerk's office at 25 Lenox Avenue and must be of length that can reasonably be read within the time limit for public comment.
Thank you. Please stand for flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In conformance with the Open Public Meeting Law, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this meeting setting forth the time, date, place, and purpose of this regular meeting through notice posted on the bulletin board of the Municipal Building. Mail who have requested and paid for same and published in Suburban Trends. Roll call, please.
Mayor Sarah.
Here.
Council President Polidori. Here. Councilman Bay.
Here.
Councilman Cruz.
Here.
Councilman Deline.
Here.
Councilwoman Kent. Here. Councilman Ben.
Here.
With us this evening is our Borough Attorney Mark Samaro and Kevin Boyle, Borough Administrator.
Okay, thank you. Before we get into our presentation, I just want to let the public know and anybody in the audience, Channel 77 is still down. The person that does all the work for that for us is not doing well. She's feeling sick. So that could be down for a little while. I want everybody to understand that. You can go on the YouTube or on a computer to see the meeting, but it won't be up on Channel 77 now and for the next couple of meetings. Okay, it's my honor to swear in our special officers. I've always said from day one, we have the best police force here. Our specials are part of that. They spend a lot of time with the public. They're out there at all the events that we're doing throughout the year, and they're always out there with a smile and helping anybody it is, so it is my honor to swear them in. All right, forgot the Bible. Talk among yourselves.
Are we going to do that? Are we going to do that? We either do it or kick it off. I just read them. We just got them. There's that. I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I'll look it up.
You got it.
Here we go.
Okay, please raise your right hands. There you go. You can repeat after me. You can all touch it, young. Okay. I state your names. Do solemnly swear. I will support the Constitution of the United States.
I will support the Constitution of the United States
And the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
I will bear true faith and allegiance
I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same,
to the same,
to the governments established
to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and this state.
and this state.
Under the authority of the people,
Under the authority of the people,
I will faithfully,
I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties of
perform all the duties of
Class 2 Special
Special
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations and thank you very much. Yeah, you all gotta fill these out right here. Here's some pens. Everybody should have the ones with their name on them.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill?
Congratulations. Another year.
Mine, Mark, here's yours.
Did we get pictures? Did we get a picture?
Yeah, I got one before you.
Okay. Oh, well, I can't be in the picture, is that what you said? Right.
You can leave them right there, I'll get them after.
Good, how you been, right? Good to see you.
Signature.
I just put down.
Just, look at it. Ma'am?
You can just leave them
In the middle there.
there. Who's the shortest guy in these pictures, so.
While you're in the middle.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
You want to take the mask off?
Yeah, what's the mask? Yeah, again, thank you guys.
Thank you, man.
Very good.
Now's your chance to get out, or you can stay and listen to the whole meeting. It's up to you guys. You're more than welcome to stay. You're stuck. Okay. Can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments?
So moved.
Councilman Line, Councilman Bay. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address? Please step up.
Julie Donkos, 914 Riverdale Boulevard. I received a certified letter from Fiero Engineering Incorporation. My property backs up to the Willow Fields or Joe Grill Fields. And I believe the town has an application in with DEP, New Jersey DEP. It's a permit application, and I just would like to read a few paragraphs. The letter is to provide you with legal notification that an application for an authorization under flood hazard area individual permit and freshwater wetland general permit 6A and 17 will be submitted to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection Division and Land Use Regulations for the development shown on the enclosed plan. And here's a brief description of the proposed project. This project is located at the Willow Fields Complex, also known as the Joe Grill Recreational Complex, which is a recreational facility consisting of several baseball and soccer fields and associated parking. The project will involve the construction of 3 new baseball fields. One is a Little League field, and 2 are the relocation of the 2 T-ball fields. A 4-foot wide, 2,100 linear foot wood chip and maintained grass and gravel trail that will connect to the existing Pompton Lake South End trails and a playground. Areas of gravel, pavement, and baseball fields of the existing recreational facility will also be restored to their original state. The proposed baseball fields, trail, and playground are located entirely in the floodway, which is my concern. Portion of the Little League fields will encroach the riparian zone, and portions of the trail will traverse through wetland transition areas. All proposed activities are located on properties owned by the Borough of Pompton Lakes and the state of New Jersey. The complete permit application package can be reviewed at either the Borough of Pompton Lakes Clerk Office in the municipality, or also you can have an appointment with DEP's Trenton office, or there is an electrical copy that you can find, and that'll be at Town Hall also. My concern with this project is the removal of 94 trees. The sizes range from 6 inches to 30 inches. And also, I have a problem with the replanting project because this is in the floodway. When the soccer fields were being built, that was about 6 acres. It was the soccer fields and the parking area. Trees were taken down for that plan. And we had floods after that time. And our home was affected by this new project. We experienced water issues. And instead of the water coming from the south, kind of goes down Pequannock River and then makes a bend and comes, on the bend would be the south. But when it comes down the Pequannock now, it comes from the north or northwest. The water goes straight across all the fields, through the woods, and towards the properties that are on Riverdale Boulevard. Of course, to me, every tree is valuable. I think 94 trees taken down. The replacement is 1.5 to 2 inches trees. It is a 1-to-1 ratio, but I believe that's inadequate. Also, the way the plans look, the trees will be stabilized by stakes. And then there was a showing of a fence, maybe taking a cluster of trees and fencing, and the fence was 3 feet tall. I'm assuming that is so children don't climb the trees, because
A combination of different reasons.
okay, the deer will definitely jump that fence and go in there. I would recommend individual fencing for each tree, and I would recommend larger trees, and then the fact that they're taken care of afterwards is an issue. Let's see. Also, well, the deer's a problem eating the trees, but also buck rubs on the bark. And there's no mention of any, since there is one new field, there's no mention of new parking. And so I'm thinking roughly it's 18 more cars, at least. And there's no mention of parking. And if you're going to park under where homes were removed and there's large established trees and you're going to park on their roots, then you will be killing those trees. And those are my main concerns about doing things in a floodway.
All right, thank you for that information. As you're well aware, because this project's been going on for 2 years, and you were at most of the meetings where this was involved, the DEP has suggested that this is a good plan by them. We go by their recommendation. Their recommendation is the 1-to-1. Obviously, we cannot replace trees that are large with large trees. That just can't be done. So we replace them with smaller trees, and over time, they will grow. DEP, when they did walk, said we're removing a lot of trees that are not good absorbers of water there and replacing them with trees that are good absorbers of water. So the movement of the T-ball fields, it's just moving 2 fields, and then that's going back to a wooded lot. So that area that's now completely open will be completely wooded again. The parking that you're talking about, there's plenty of parking there now for all the games and everything. We've never had an issue with overflow parking there. The only issue we have is parking on Walnut, which is just the issue of the residents. You're not allowed to park there on both sides of the street, and there is no parking signs there. So the police are aware of that, and they have to, enforce on that side. We're not adding any more parking, but yes, the areas that the houses came down and will be used for parking, as they've been being used for the last 5 or 6 years. We will not be paving them. We will not be putting stone there. They'll stay natural, but we are allowed to use them for parking, and the DEP is aware of that. So if you have any questions or...
Well, I believe parking under mature trees will kill the trees eventually.
Well, we've
So
been
if
doing
that's
that.
allowed,
Yeah, we've
I
been
think
doing that
that's
for
a
long, long
mistake.
time. I mean, we're 20 years we've been doing that. If you look back on when the old fields were there, back when Fine Bloom was there, people were parking under those trees also, so. And look, at the end of the day, it does do some damage, and I understand what you're talking about, but replacing the trees, in my opinion, and in the DEP's opinion, and our engineer's opinion, the area that we're replanting is gonna do a better job of flood control than what we have there now, and it'll be a better stock of trees that are going in to control the flooding. So those are positive things, in my opinion. And at the end of the day, we're putting in an area that is not developed, and that's why the DEP is allowing this. It's a recreation field that has openings and grass, and it's used for the children. That is our, unfortunately, and I wish it wasn't, that is where our sports complex field is, in a flood zone, and it will not change. So this walking path that's going around the whole area, I think will be used by the whole community. I think it'll be nice.
Well, I did have a question about that.
Sure, go ahead.
And I forgot about it. In the plans, it shows the 4 feet, then it shows 2 feet on each side of this path. So are they, I don't want trees
The tree
cleared.
count that's in there includes all the trees that are coming down for the path. So anything that, and I know when they were planting that, they looked at areas to go around trees so they didn't have to take trees down. Now, I can't tell you how many trees are on the path.
But is it gonna be a 4-foot path or
I'm
an
under the
8-foot
assumption it's a
path?
4-foot path. I don't think it's an 8-foot path. But I'll have to, Kevin, can we just check on that?
I mean, we're told a 4-foot path,
And I
but
was
if
told
you're
that's-
clearing on 2 feet on each side, then.
Yeah, I don't know about the 2-foot clearing. I know it was a 4-foot walking path.
Also, to me, if you have a walking path around these fields, is there a safety issue with foul balls if people are walking right next to a field?
They're out on the outskirts of the field. It'd be very unusual. I mean, right now, we have kids playing soccer on one field and baseball on the other, and it's in the outfield, so we don't have an issue with that
Okay.
right now.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else from the public like to address? Please step up.
Hello. Can I take my mask off?
Sure. That's up to you. I can't tell you to yes or no.
I didn't know if it was like a rule not to. Okay, so I'm here because I want to raise concern about kids on the ice on the lake. On Saturday, I was driving by and there were 2 boys by where the inlet is on the ice at like 10 feet out. I yelled out the window for them to come in. They came like to get off the ice. They got off the ice.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I'm sorry. I just need your name and address. I'm sorry.
Oh, Colleen Dawson, 92 parent. On Monday, again, I was driving after school, and closer to Mandeville Avenue, there were 2 kids at least 30 feet out on the ice. Now, I grew up in Jersey City. I'm the first to say I know nothing about ice, lakes, how deep it has to be for the kids to be out there. I posted on Facebook, a lot of people said who grew up in the town that they used to ice skate on there, play hockey, whatever. Right now, today I went by and I took pictures of every sign from where it begins at the bridge to where the inlet is, and there's no sign about the dangers of the ice, stay off the ice, or anything. Another thing on Facebook, people mentioned that back in the day, I guess they had a flag system that let people know when you could go out on the ice or not. My concern is that I know nothing about the depth of ice, and these kids don't either. So I'm just worried, and hopefully if there's a way to start that flag system again, or put signs up,
All right,
to
so
let the
I-
kids know.
Yeah, we are aware of what you brought up, and I spoke to the police chief. There is, first of all, so everybody understands, there's no law against being out on the ice.
Right.
Okay, so there's no law that says you can't do it.
Right.
Long ago, the town decided not to be in the ice game, because we become responsible if we say the ice is good or bad. Our recommendation is to stay off the ice. If the police see kids on the ice, they roll down the windows and say, they can't tell them to leave, but they tell them, do your parents know you're on the ice? Meaning, we can maybe go tell your parents you're on the ice, and all of a sudden they go off. That's the best we can do at this point. I agree that, and what people who didn't grow up in this town don't understand is that there's a moving current in the middle of that lake, and that current doesn't freeze as solid as the sides, and these kids are kids, they're out there walking and they're trying to walk across it. It's an unusual situation, but we can't demand that they come off the ice. That's the problem.
But what about a sign?
The sign could say what? We can't tell them they can't go on the ice.
But you could put up caution.
We could say, well, enter at your own risk, but.
When I saw the two kids by Mandeville, how far they were out, when I went today, ducks were in the water.
Yep, I'm sure.
If I'm walking and I see a kid and he falls in, what am I supposed to do? I'm gonna stand there and watch him. I get it that you can't tell them not to, but the least we can do is put up a sign that says caution, at your own risk. You don't know how deep
I
it
have
is.
to talk to our attorney and talk to our administrator about that. There's liability issues with that, yeah.
I think it's gonna be a liability issue if a kid falls in and
But
a
yes.
tragedy happens in Ponte
And-
Lake.
And we don't want that. to
And I would hate to have to come back and say, I told you.
And I agree with that. But the problem with that is, kids are kids and they do a lot of stupid things, building fires in the middle of the woods at night or whatever that it's gonna be. We can't rule over everything they do and where they go and what they say. If they make a mistake and do something stupid, hopefully they don't pay for it, the consequences of what happens from that. Putting up a sign, in my opinion, is not stopping a 12-year-old from walking on the ice. They're not gonna say, oh, I see a sign, that says danger, I'm not going there.
Right, but if God forbid something happens, at least you put a sign up.
Well-
Or you're gonna say, damn, I wish I would have put a sign
Yeah,
up,
but it
the
can work-
least,
it can
if
work
that's
against
the
us.
least
Well,
we could do.
Mr. Mayor, maybe I could just
Sure,
have a
okay.
bit. Ironically, I'm dealing with this issue with the same insurance fund that insures the borough, and I've written to them for guidance on this issue. So I'm going to be receiving in short order what the Morris County JIF suggests that we do in situations such as this, and I will pass that opinion on because it will be equally applicable here.
Okay.
The mayor's concern is correct, and oftentimes, the law isn't as common sense oriented as you would like it to be. The mayor's concern is appropriate. I don't have the exact answer. That's why I had requested enlightenment from the insurance fund, because I'm ultimately going to pass on advice both to this municipality as well as the other municipality, and I want to make sure that I do so in a way that doesn't jeopardize their insurance coverage in the event, God forbid, something happens. So it is under, your concern is definitely understood, and it will be addressed, ironically, probably faster than it would have been had I not raised this issue 3 days ago, I think it was.
And let me just say this too, we understand completely what you're saying. I can tell you, because where the school is located, some of the schools, kids come right out of the school, go right to the ice, start walking right across it to go home or whatever they're gonna do. I had a police officer tell me just last week, he saw a kid walking by himself across the ice. He rolled down the window, he said, that ice is not safe, you should probably get off there. I'm gonna let your parents know you're out there, and he ran off the ice. We can't tell that kid, he's not getting a ticket, we can't tell him he's not supposed to be there. If he wants to do something stupid, unfortunately, that's what's gonna happen at this point. But let's see if we can do signage, we'll find out about that, and we'll let you know how.
And I spoke to Dr. Amoroso.
Well, they
and-
did do an announcement.
Yes, they did an announcement, and then, I know you just said you spoke to the chief, but could it be where maybe, when the ice is partially frozen, that maybe they're doing extra rounds on
Sure,
Lakeside, just
we
to,
can request
you know,
that, yes.
all right,
I'll request that with the chief. And
okay,
Bill, can you bring that over to the chief?
Yeah.
Okay,
all right, thank you.
thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session?
So moved.
Councilman DeWine, Council President Valdori, all in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Okay, approval of minutes, motion to approve the following minutes, regular meeting minutes, January 12th. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Council President Valdori, Councilman DeWine, was that?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion to approve bills as listed below. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Councilman
Second.
DeWine, Councilman Bay, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Consent agenda, does anybody need anything pulled?
We're gonna pull that,
That's not in this.
ready?
Okay, no, this, we're good.
Whereas the mayor and the council of the Borough of Pompton Lakes have reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions, whereas the mayor and council of the Borough of Pompton Lakes does not desire to remove resolutions for individual action from that agenda. Now therefore be it resolved that the following resolutions on the consent agenda are hereby approved. Resolution 22-77 through 2282.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the order, resolution?
Motion.
Council President Alidori, Councilman Bay, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay, second reading, we're gonna lump the next three together. I think it's
Okay.
three?
Yes.
Yes, three together.
They've been advertised and posted on the municipal bulletin board. Ordinance 22-02 is an ordinance authorizing the mayor and borough clerk to execute a lease amendment with Pompton Lakes Riverdale Little League. Ordinance 2203 is an amendment with the Pompton Lakes Riverdale Soccer Association. And 2204 is amendment with the Pompton Lakes Youth Organization.
Okay, can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments on ordinances 2202, 3, and 4?
So moved.
Councilman
Second.
Bay, Councilman Cruz, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Would anyone from the public like to address just these ordinances? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the meeting for public comments on ordinance 2202, 3, and 4?
So moved.
Council President Polidori,
Second.
Councilman Devine, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve,
I have to do roll.
yeah, okay, I was gonna say that. Okay. Roll call, please. Go ahead.
No, okay, for that. Now we have to do the motion, I'm sorry.
Okay. Motion to approve ordinance 2202, 3, and 4 for final adoption.
So moved.
Councilman Begg,
Second.
Councilwoman Kent, roll call, please.
Councilman Cruz.
Here.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Right.
Councilman DeLine.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kent.
Yes.
Councilwoman Polidori.
Yes.
Councilman Brennan.
Yes.
Councilman Begg.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 22-04, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and borough clerk to execute tower lease agreement, repeater utilization agreement with North Jersey Police Radio Association pursuant to state statute.
This is just our lease agreement with the tower for our police response and radio. Motion to open the meeting for public comments on ordinance 22-05.
So moved.
Who was that over?
Bill.
No? Councilman Begg, Councilwoman, Council President Polidori, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address this ordinance, 2205? Seeing none, can I have a motion to close the meeting for public comments on ordinance 22-05?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Devine, Councilman Cruz, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion to approve ordinance 2205 for final adoption.
So moved.
Councilman Begg,
Second.
roll call, please.
Councilman Cruz.
Yes.
Councilman DeLine.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kent.
Yes.
Councilwoman Polidori.
Yes.
Councilman Brennan.
Yes.
Councilman Begg.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna pull ordinance 2206, so that's gonna be pulled. And under my report, let's start with my report. To start with, we have a lot of new businesses opening up in town. A couple of them have been, we have a grand opening actually scheduled for Saturday, if the weather holds out. The new pet store that's in the new Lido parking center, that's opening on Saturday. A new magic store has opened. There's a new therapy place opening, also in the Lido shopping center. And like I had mentioned before, what we had hoped for bringing in redevelopment and business, up till about 6 months ago, there was numerous occupancies in the Lido shopping center. They are 100% now full from the businesses that got brought in. So that's what we're trying to do when we say we're going to revitalize downtown, redevelop downtown. Hopefully these people, these apartments will bring in the businesses that we want. We'll start to fill in on any vacancies we have. And let me just say, I'm sure we've all driven around towns. We're holding our own with vacancies. I mean, there's some towns you drive through and there's 5, 6, 7 stores deep that don't have any business in them. We luckily are holding our own. I've always said we want to shop local if you can as a resident. You know, if you have the availability and the time, it's always nice to shop local, support our local businesses. We will be having our budget talks very soon. We're putting together our budget now. I think the administrator is going to talk about it a little bit today. It's been a tough year for many different reasons, you know, COVID being one of them. Costs involved, tax appeals, so we'll see how things go. This mayor and council has been very diligent in trying to keep our tax increases to a minimum. We try to keep it under 2% if need be, without cutting any services, which is the key to the whole thing. We don't want to cut services. I can tell you that some exciting news is if you've driven by the middle of town, you've seen the whole building is now down for the redevelopment, and you see how large a space that is. It's a very large space. In the next couple of months, they'll start building there, and then we're on our way. You know, then the building starts and things will start moving. I've also been approached by the county for the county senior housing that we'll be putting in at the county garage, which is off Ringwood Avenue. They're putting a plan together now that they're going to present. And, you know, that could be starting in the next 6 to 8 months. The county garage, if you're not familiar, it's on Ringwood Avenue. That has been moved to a different location, and it's now empty, so there is nobody in there working. We did reach out an agreement with the county administrator to leave the salt tower there, so we keep our salt there, one, and two, I would like the county to be able to get salt for what we call the north communities, which is us, Pompton Lakes, Riverdale, West Milford. Instead of going all the way back down to 23 to get their salt to salt, if they kept this here, they could only go to Pompton Lakes and get their salt to salt. He agreed to that, so when they build this new complex for seniors, they're going to keep the salt dome there, which is a big plus for us. The school keeps their salt there, we keep our salt there, and the county will keep their salt there. I think that's a big plus. And the other side effect to that, by the way, is if the trucks and the plows have to come up here to get salt, obviously they have the blades down when they're coming here to get salt. So our town gets plowed a little better from our county streets because the trucks have to be in town to do that. I also, again, this is not going to be on Channel 77, but for anybody that's going to watch this, I did get a lot of complaints about plowing. And people have to understand, the county roads are plowed by the county. They're not plowed by the town. And some of the roads, most people, like a Colfax, for example, half of Colfax is a county road. So if those plows are going fast and they're throwing snow and ice all the way to your doorsteps, it's wrong and it's unfortunate, and you can call me and I will definitely call the county, but it's not our guys doing that. And we have quite a few county roads here in town, good or bad, that we don't take care of. That's the responsibility of the county. We don't plow them, we don't salt them. So if there's situations with those roads, you have to understand which road it is. If it is one of our roads, and most of the residential streets are our roads, if there's a concern, or wasn't plowed well, there's no problem politely calling the DPW, asking them what's going on. Calling and screaming is probably not going to get you anywhere by calling them. We do have a nice arrangement worked out with the school system where they help us plow our emergency buildings, this is one of them, the firehouse, police department, and our ambulance squad. So that was a great arrangement we worked out with the police department, another shared service. And that is my report. Council President Baldori. What's that?
You have an appointment? Appointment?
Oh, do I have an appointment? I didn't see it.
Number 10.
It's Neil Galetta.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I missed that. Thank you. Motion to appoint Neil Goetta as a commissioner to the Pompton Lakes Municipal Utilities Authority, term to end January 31st, 2027. Can I have a second?
Second.
Council President Palladori. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Thank you. All right, Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to say congratulations and thank you to all the special officers that were sworn in tonight. Some of these officers I've known for many years, and they're from town. They chose to stay in town, raise their families here, and continue to serve their communities. And I think that's one of the things that makes our police department so special. So I appreciate the hard work they do, and I appreciate them staying on. I did attend the planning board meeting on January 18th. I know there was a lot of discussion about one of the ordinances that was pulled tonight, so I do thank that committee for their hard work in making sure that we have that corrected and put back on the agenda properly. I did, with Councilwoman Kent, run our first open space meeting of 2022. We have a lot of things that we're looking forward to working on together this year, improvement in some of our local parks. In addition to that, I did meet with the DPW supervisor and one of our park vendors to start looking at 2 of the spaces that we're considering working on for this year, get some ideas of what some playground equipment can be replaced and what inclusive play equipment can be added. We're looking at making some improvements to Pacifico Gallo and Hirschfield. So next we will be having a meeting with the engineer and the grant writer to see what can be done, what work has already been done, and how we can add to it. So I look forward to seeing what comes out of that. I was pleased to see the progress on the redevelopment site. I do drive by and check it out every day, so it's moving along quickly. And I also had in my notes, just to echo your comments, we do have a lot of new stores opening. As we expand the types of shops that we bring into town and the eating establishments, it continues to make it easier and easier to stay in town for everything you need as we start to reopen. So please, if you can, shop local. And that is my report.
Thank you. For the council, before I get to the next one, I'm trying to make my rounds to all the meetings. I've gotten to a lot of them, to swear in anybody. If I missed any of your meetings, please let me know and I'll catch you in the next month. I'm trying to get to all of them this month. I went to a bunch last night and a couple Monday night. We've decided, just if anybody asks, because it is a change, I will swear people in just like I did today, as a precedent because they want to, but it doesn't really carry any weight. We're not keeping any paperwork on that, so we don't, it's just to acknowledge them, basically. If they want that, we'll acknowledge it. I have no problem doing that. But it's not an official thing that they have to have it done. Okay, so everybody understands it. Councilman Cruz.
Nothing new to report, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Councilman Devine.
Thank you, Mayor. This past Monday, I attended the Library Board Reorganization and regular meeting. We had 3 reappointments, actually 2 reappointments and 1 new appointment, and the election of new officers. The library addition's on hiatus until the weather breaks again. It did start, but it had to stop because of the weather. The library director went through a number of the circulation numbers for the past year. Interestingly, the book circulation is close to return to pre-COVID levels. And digital circulation, which grew during COVID, has actually stayed around those levels even while the book circulation has returned. What is down is the video borrowing. I think it's a matter of when the library was closed, people found streaming options rather than the physical DVDs and VHS tapes. They've gone in that direction. So I think that area has sort of been lacking lately. The library continues to hold programs. Most recently, they started an on-the-go story time, so you can borrow a book for the story time, and the library will also provide crafts for kids. There's adult coloring on Fridays, the first and third Fridays from 1 to 3 p.m. That is sponsored by the Friends of the Library program, and a lot of other programs. So just visit the website, the library's website, or their Facebook page to find out more. I want to thank the Flood Advisory Board for their presentation tonight. They've been doing this for a long time. They're very thorough, as we could tell from tonight. Passaic County is currently working on a bike plan. Their public questionnaire is actually going to be ending at the end of the month, January 31st. You can find out more at publicinput.com/bike Passaic County, or go to the county's Facebook page. They are developing a countywide bike plan. So they're looking for input from all the residents and what our Pompton Lakes residents want to see, particularly as it affects county facilities. This past weekend signed a lot of POs, including POs for the grants program. And I think as our administrators point out, through the ARP funding, Kevin, and working with a consultant, came up with a great idea, speaking of supporting local businesses, to provide grant availability to anyone who applied. We got a pretty good response, but a lot of businesses are getting $5,000 checks through the program. So I want to thank Kevin for setting up that program, the council and the mayor certainly for supporting that. Keeping our businesses going through this time period has been critical, and as we talked about, we are doing better than a lot of towns and a lot of downtowns as a result. Congratulations to the reappointments of our special officers. I want to congratulate and thank Dawn Gossam for her service to the PLPD for the last 8.5 years, and grateful that she's going to continue as a child passenger safety technician and instructor. That was a mouthful. And then finally, condolences to Dawn Sobchak for the passing of her husband, Joe Koenig. And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you. I just should go back for a second. I know Councilman Cruz had a conflict last night. I did attend the rec meeting, and there were some new things that I should bring up. We had closed the teen center down across the street at the theater. We're no longer in that building. We will be opening up a new teen center in the old Terabytes basement in the next 3 months or so. There's some work that still has to be done there. We're going to be starting all new programs there. And more to come on that, but we're hoping now that COVID is kind of sliding away, we can get the kids back interested into doing things and being involved in the community and in showing up at the teen center again. It's going to be a struggle because these kids have been out for 2 years and have not been really doing any of these things. So We suspect that this year's summer camp and all the programs that we have, like our Easter egg hunt and things coming up, are going to be kind of crowded because the last 2 years they've been not so crowded. So they're preparing for that. And with that, if anyone who's over the age of 16 is interested in working in the summer for summer camp, it's between the hours of 9 and 12. You can contact Karen Murphy in the rec department. Soon we'll have an application out for it because we're going to start early because we want to make sure we have enough counselors that are interested in doing that. Okay, Councilwoman Kent.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to also thank the Flood Advisory Board, Mrs. Venon and Steve Floman, who worked so hard on that report. As you can see, that was an extremely professional report. It meets all kind of criteria that you would spend lots of money on professional fees, and they do this because they love what they do, and they offer all their volunteer time, and I'm very grateful, and the residents are very grateful because it has made an amazing impact on the reduction of the flooding that's going on in Pompton Lakes. And I would recommend to our council and to the mayor that we follow some of those guidelines that we've been doing since 2010, because it really does work, and they do realize and they do understand the flows of these rivers because they've been studying them for 12 years. So I want to thank them for that, and I also want to thank the members for coming out. You know, a lot of people are still worried about the COVID, but they're here and they do support. So I want to thank them. I want to thank Mrs. Dawson on the ice issue. I grew up in Trenton, and we always skated on one of the lakes in Princeton. And there's nothing more fun, and I have very fond memories of those ice skating episodes. However, our lake is connected to a river, so it's a little different than some of the other lakes where you can skate and they have people that actually do core through the ice. We used to do that. We don't do that anymore. I'm very grateful that our attorney is now going to look into that and to see what we can do, because when it's frozen in certain sections, it's fine, but it's like yesterday, not fine, and you could fall through, and we could have a horrible tragedy. So I want to thank Mr. Samaria for looking for that and getting us that as soon as possible. But as a kid, there was nothing more fun. So I think we have to address that. I do. I know. Thank you for bringing it up and putting it in Facebook.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I also attended the Environmental Committee meeting. We're proud to have I think it's going to be the 18th annual river cleanup. We're looking for either May 7th or May 15th. We'll make that decision at our next meeting. And we'll be inviting all the local folks to, again, come out and help us clean up the rivers and the debris and garbage. And we really have a fun day. So more information will be coming on that. I too am a member of the Open Space Committee, and I'm looking forward to working very closely with Council President Polidori. She's doing a great job going out there and getting all those new playground equipment, organized with our vendors. And there's going to be a public meeting on the Boathouse County grant for Hirschfield Park. I believe it's February 13th, and that'll be here. That'll be the meeting. I think it's on the 13th.
What are you talking about? There's no vote going on.
I think there's going to be we announced it last month.
Public session.
Public here, they're going to talk about the grant.
Is that for the bathrooms?
Yeah, the bathrooms.
Did we have a public
It's
hearing?
No, when we
26th.
apply for the county open space, there'll be a public hearing
In the county?
at our
No.
February.
26th.
February meeting,
26th?
First February meeting.
And who's presenting that?
We do this every year, Mike.
Yeah, anytime that we go to the
Oh, you
county,
mean just the
General.
permitting of
We
the open
explain,
space?
explain,
Oh, okay, yes.
explain the
I
program.
thought it's not specific about, that's our open space grants applications. Is what we're talking
Yeah, and anybody can have.
Yes.
Yeah, relative to the improvements to Hirschfield Park, yes.
about. Okay,
Yes, and that's, I think it's 300,000.
I don't know the total.
I believe it's next meeting, because I think it has to be by the 28th. Has to be February 9th. Is that February 9th, right, Liz?
I believe so.
What?
When the meeting
The
is,
9th.
the application has to be in?
No, I think, and he's in the hearing the 9th?
No, For the borough, at the
Yeah.
borough, it's on February 26th.
Okay.
So anybody can come and talk about that application, just so you know it's
Yes.
coming up. We mentioned it at our last
Yeah,
meeting.
but I think what you're confusing is, that's for any open space application. We do it every year for all.
Yes,
of them.
right.
It's not specific only just for this one thing.
Well,
Every year we do an
Yeah,
open space.
I think it's specific.
No, it's specific.
Well,
It's
but
specific,
because that
yeah.
year, this is our open space, that
This
is
is our
our project.
This is our project,
But every year, our open space is.
depending on the project,
correct.
right. Every project has an open, right. So
We do a
that's,
mailing as well, 200-foot mailing, and we do the public session.
okay, so that's coming up, just so you know.
Yes.
We did mention it, I did mention that at the last meeting. And that's important because the bathrooms are in real need, and that would be good to have that done. Channel 77, I'm just curious, are we still paying that bill even though we're not getting the service?
There's no bill to pay. Channel 77, it has a number of components to it. When we take these meetings, it goes to a server. The gentleman at the digital corporation that we utilize takes that and formats it for the website. He then sends it to another consultant who formats it for Channel 77, which has to be reformatted because it's pretty much dummied down because the speed is at. But the problem is that individual is sick, and that individual was in the hospital in intensive care, so it's going to be a while. The problem is there's no other person that does that. I talked to both the individual who maintains this piece of equipment that runs the TV station and a digital guy. They don't have that equipment. So I'm trying to figure out where I go from here, but Cablevision stopped that whole process. They had a whole group of people that did nothing but cable television. They got rid of them years ago. So we might be without Channel 77 indefinitely or for good, because you need that equipment to reformat it, and none of the people I have can do that.
Okay, so one person can, that's it.
Well, it's an antiquated system. There's not a lot of people that deal with what she's doing.
Okay.
We've reached out to the people that do it now, and they said, we don't deal with that anymore. The only other option would be to go a completely different route that's very expensive.
Okay.
We're not talking thousands of dollars, we're talking $20,000 to $30,000.
Well, everyone's in the same boat because this consultant works for him. So the problem is Wayne has his own television station.
Exactly, yeah,
That's a whole different ballgame.
okay, but we're not
What do other
that,
towns do that are
Excuse me?
using, what do the other towns do that are using Channel 77 that don't use this
I'll have
channel?
to find out. I'll have to find out. But a lot of towns have their own internal station that just uploads it directly from here to 77. We don't do that. We've never
And
done
we
that.
could do that. Remember years ago.
Can we do that?
Well, it costs a lot.
Well, it's gonna cost you a lot of money.
We had a guy come in, two different consultants, I think Eck was involved and Eric at the time, weren't you?
I was definitely involved.
And it's a very expensive proposition. You gotta replace all the cameras, you gotta replace all the equipment to do that. And then it has to be, then you have to pay a service to the service person to do that. So right now, we're not doing any of those things because we have the equipment already that was given to us from Channel 77 initially, and we have the cameras in place already. You know, it's a cost. It's a cost.
But the recorded meetings can still be accessed from the Borough webpage
Yes.
through the YouTube link.
And YouTube.
And they are.
Okay.
And they are right now.
and that's posted on Channel 77, that
No,
you
no,
can
no,
go
no.
to see the council meetings?
There's no channel 77.
There's
always
no
been
Channel
on the
77
website.
at all, there's nothing.
No, there's still, it's
No,
still
The
running.
bulletin board's up.
So on the
There's no
bulletin
council
board,
meeting.
so on the bulletin board, what I'm suggesting is that we post. You can
I
see the
believe you
council.
did.
I thought Liz
Yeah,
said
it's
that
on
last
I
meeting.
did.
Okay.
I'll make
I'm getting
sure.
I'm getting calls, okay? I'm getting calls.
And what are
People
you
can't-
telling them?
I said I'm gonna talk to the
Well, you
mayor.
should be telling them to go on to the webpage and watch it.
They wanna see it on TV, they don't wanna see it
That's
on,
not gonna happen.
they don't wanna see it on the TV, it's too
Yep.
small.
Well, that's not gonna
I
happen.
have older friends. They
I
can't see
understand, but
the
at the end of the
computer.
day, this is a service, it's not a requirement.
Well, no, and that's fine. I want to clarify, I just wanted to clarify they can see it on their YouTube.
Two ways they can see it.
But
They can see it
Okay.
on the YouTube.
YouTube?
You can go to YouTube,
Mhm.
or they can go to our borough website and download it right from our borough website.
Okay, and that's fine, and there's no fee. We're not still paying a fee, even though we're not getting the service. That was the other,
Paying a fee.
that was the
Oh,
other question I
well,
was
She's
asking.
asking, are we paying for
We're
the,
paying for a fee. I think,
for the service of the?
Kevin
Well,
said no.
the consultant can't bill me if they can't do the work.
Right.
well, that's fine, as long as he's
You know,
not billing us.
but-
and we're
and
not-
again, that fee, if everything was static, is $3,000 a year. It's not, so we're still paying for the other fees, we're just not paying for that fee for the upload to 77.
And look, and we'll see where we go forward with this.
Okay.
And if she is gonna be done with doing this, then we'll have to put a little committee together
Yeah.
and talk about how we wanna go forward. I did reach out at the league, there was a booth of people that help with doing this, and they're out of West Milford. They might come down and consult with us a little bit to give us some information on how to do this.
That would be nice.
But at the end of the day, we have to be prepared, there's a cost involved.
Okay, no, that's fine, that's fine.
Okay.
All right, I appreciate that, thank you. And I just wanted to just mention something that we have a resident, Mrs. Donkos. She's been involved with the open space acquisitions, environmental issues since 1999, when the whole issue of open space came up and when they were going to build 750 condos down in this area that flooded 8 feet of water. And you have to realize that for many, many years, it was understood that that most of this land would be under conservation, recreation. So when we talk about the 100 trees,
Well, when you
It's
say
a
it was
little-
understood, where was it understood that it would be conservation?
well, that's its zone, conservation, recreation, that's what it's
But
zoned.
a use for that use.
Is recreation.
Is recreation, so.
But for many, many years, people, couldn't build a shed in their backyard down there. And I'm
Well,
just,
those are DEP rules, those are not our rules.
well, those were whoever rules they
Yeah,
were.
but
It was,
that-
back in the 90s, that's the way it was.
That being said, Maria, I think it's important to put on the record that I had 3 meetings at DEP with people from land use, and they made us jump through hoops.
Yeah.
Little hoops, to get the design we had to design.
Yeah, no, I know.
Because there is enough issues with wetlands.
Wetlands,
Issues
riparian
with
rights.
easements. It was, and Eric knows, this was not easy to get to
Oh,
a vote.
I'm sure it's not. I just want everybody to
No,
understand.
that's fine.
For many, many years, residents in the town, especially in the south end, who flooded, many of them have moved because their houses are gone. They still have that idea that this is not something that usually.
No, but my point is that the DEP is looking out for their best interest by
Well, that's
making
good
us jump through these hoops.
Well, that's good to know.
That's the key.
And I
that's good to
should
know.
also offer, a lot of residents, reach out to me about the sports fields not having enough. And this is unfortunately where our sports fields are.
I agree with that.
And that's why you were part of the development of Willow Field, was for that reason, for sports fields.
Yes, and we did.
And so we're
It's
doing the
beautiful.
same thing we did when we did Willow Field, just in a different area.
Right. And that was her point. There was a lot of destruction of the natural habitat when the soccer field and the little baseball field went in. And, I lived on that side of town. I understand that. I was a part of all that myself. So when a resident comes in and says that, that's where they're coming from. That was their feeling. Things change. People move. We've done a lot of work in the flood areas. So, I just want everybody to understand this is
But
what.
I think what the DEP did say about what I mentioned to her, and I think it is true, I'm not just saying it, the DEP recommends these trees will do a better job in flood control than what we have there.
Yeah, I don't know, I don't know how they came to that, or I don't know why they would say that, but I just want you to know, there are residents down that still feel that way, so I just want everybody to understand that. And I also want to congratulate the special officers and thank them for their hard work and their commitment to Pompton Lakes. And with that, ends my report.
Thank you. Councilman Bennett.
Thank you, Mayor. I also would like to congratulate the special officers that were sworn in this evening. Many years ago, I was once a Class 2 special officer in another municipality, and I know they go through a lot, and for not much money. I'd like to congratulate Emma Keating, who was a Passaic County champ for pole vaulting 11 feet 3 inches in a recent countywide track meet. I attended the Historic Commission meeting last evening. We have an opening for a second alternate member. So
Second alternate?
Second alternate. if anybody's interested in joining the Historic Commission, feel free to stop by the next meeting, which is scheduled for February 22nd at 7 PM over at the Civic Center. Last night, I also attended the zoning board meeting, and that, they held the reorg, where Willie Hunt was selected as chair, and Frank Abate was selected as vice chair. And the next zoning board meeting is scheduled for February 22nd at 8 PM. And lastly, I'd like to thank the Flood Advisory Board. I'm firsthand witness to their hard work. My wife puts in many hours ensuring that work continues along the rivers. And thanks to their work, home prices have definitely rebounded. I mean, you look on the websites, houses are selling, and for a lot more. I mean, my house is finally worth a lot more than I even paid for it many years ago when I purchased at the height of the market. And that is my report, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Begg.
I'd also like to congratulate the officers that were sworn in tonight. Police Department's one of my close advisories, really. I spent 38 years in the police department, and they do an excellent job. I'd also like to thank Lauren Bennon for her presentation with Flood Advisory Board. She did an excellent job. I attended the Pompton Lakes Municipal Utilities Authority meeting on January 19th. It was reported that 9 Hamburg Turnpike renewal project completed the water sewer connection for 7 apartment units on December 10th, 2021. It was also reported that the Meridian Pompton Lakes 261 urban renewal project started the abandonment of their existing water and sewer services and laterals, and as you can see, we're tearing down the buildings now. The MUA ratified the Highlands contract resolution with the requirement they pay $2,000 per quarter. I also attended the Pompton Lakes Redevelopment meeting. It was their reorganization meeting. I was sworn in at that time, along with Abby Novak, and Chairman was Andy Silverstein was appointed chairman, and Tom Quigley was appointed vice chairman. And that's basically my report.
Okay, thank you. Professional reports. Do you have any report?
No report there.
Have we heard anything about the opioid, anything new on that?
No, I was not contacted on anything on that.
The deadline was actually extended.
We're in.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, probably won't be for a while because the deadline to
Okay.
submit was extended.
Professional, administrator's report.
Just a couple of things, Mayor. My first item on my report was the Willow Field permit. We had a discussion tonight about that. That is in review by DEP. Once that comes back, we can start looking at going out to bid on that project. On a very snowy day a couple weeks ago, the State Forestry Division came up and walked our CSIP grant program. We planted those 40-50 trees. We'll be receiving a $40,000 reimbursement for the grant for that planting. We did well on the inspection, so we'll be getting paperwork from the DEP, I guess shortly to get our $40,000 back and put that back on our capital fund. On Friday, we're doing a bid for our tree service. Our contract ended on December 31st. I hope to have that bid awarded on February the 9th. I was working with our FCC attorney relative to the GHT license renewal. That will now be forwarded to the FCC. Hopefully, we'll get the approval in April. And then from there, we can start working on filing the paperwork to start the request of transition from the LMA, which is the licensing with Frank Chuat and WGHT to a full purchase sometime prior to the end of the year. So that's moving along now to that goal.
Finally, yeah. A long time.
Well, the LMA, that was, it was a 3-year agreement. That agreement ends this April. So everything kind of plays in very well time-wise. So then we'll start to make that transition. And we'll have to negotiate a lease, because as you know, as part of this short-term agreement, he paid what was basically cover a tax on it, if that building was a taxable building, even though it's a public it's property. But going forward, we have to discuss a lease because it could be a joint use of property. I mean, if we want to use some of that building for something, his offices are up on the second floor. So we'll have to discuss a long-term lease with him going forward in terms of what the cost of that lease will be. Probably similar, I think, to the lease we have now, because again, we just want to make sure we cover our tax liability going forward. And maybe discuss possibly having more of the improvements to the facility borne by the leasee, the leaser, not the leasee. We'll see how that goes, but that's coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, good.
You mentioned 2022 budget. I'm working on the capital side right now, but the actual current budget is pretty much done. I know what my costs are, but I'm not quite sure what my revenues are. And as I mentioned to you on the phone the other day, I hope I have a good ratable year. Not so much. We lost $3 million in ratables, so this means I have 10 budgets. I've had 10 years worth of lost ratables, which means basically if I had a 0 ratable loss, that means my tax rate must change from year to year. When you lose ratables, that means you're actually starting in the hole. So the fact that we start a hole every year and get to about a 2% increase, that's pretty good hocus pocus financing somehow, but it works. My concern again is that we lost another $3 million. That includes $22,000 in added assessments for new improvements to housing and the new assessment on legal property.
So just so everybody's aware, the reason we had a loss was a little bit of a change in the law with veteran status, and now veterans can apply for discounted or almost free taxes. And how many residents took it? There was a bunch.
Well, we lost 5 fully taxable properties to the tune of almost $2.2 million.
Just on that.
Disabled.
Yes, there's nothing we can do.
100% disabled vet.
Right, there's nothing we can do, that's out of our hands completely. Had nothing to
And
do
then normal
really
tax
with
appeals, but that was,
Right.
that was a definite hit, yeah.
So just so I'm aware, I don't want to make it seem like, unfortunately or fortunately for the veterans, but unfortunately for us, we lost $2.2 million just on that.
So the order was in today, getting information off the computer. Once he has that, he'll start doing the debt statement and financial statement. Once the financial statement's done, we'll know what our revenues are. We can start projecting budget numbers, because the tax rate is based upon what we have to raise to pay costs based upon the revenue. So now once I have that, I can have a finance meeting and try to get this budget underway late February, early March. It's just unfortunate sequence at this point in time.
That's it.
It's enough.
Just going back to what Councilwoman Kent said, we should at least, and I know you are, but we should at least start to look at alternate ideas for Channel 77, even if it's just to get the numbers down at least, if it's going to cost us, what it would cost us. There is a nonprofit out of West Milford, I have their card, that does help set that back up, and they will come down and help you do it. They've done local towns around here. Just for the new council people, years ago, Cablevision themselves would set up the program for us and do all the work and give us the equipment and run the lines, and they would give us a grant when we applied, and a whole bunch of things. They've removed all of that. So there's no longer any help. The only thing Cablevision gives us now is the actual space on Channel 77. So everything else separate from that, we have to take care of. I will tell you, it's probably 50-50, maybe a little less. Some towns had it, some towns don't. Unfortunately, or fortunately, our residents have become accustomed to it by having it. But it is not a requirement of a borough to have it. It is a service, not a requirement. And I know some of the residents take it as a requirement, and unfortunately, it is not. I'm not against it, I support it, but we have to look into it.
Mayor,
When
is
does
there
their
anything?
license come up for renewal?
I'd say probably another 8 years maybe still, the renewal of Cablevision. I think we did it about 5 years ago or so, right?
I think I forget a 10 or 20 year cycle, but we'll probably get through it at least 5 years.
The problem is there's no other service provider.
Right, no, I know, but they still have to apply, and
Yeah.
like last time I remember, I think it was probably 2016, to be perfectly
Yeah,
honest,
it's
so
around
that
there.
seems about right. And it probably was a 10-year, but they typically offer grants. I think we used a good portion of that money, and we actually bought the equipment, we moved it from the high school over here, so we might,
And they moved the optical line for that, from the high school.
Right,
to
I remember
here.
that,
So
yep.
a lot of that grant money went to that.
Went to that.
But as we renew it, we'll get another grant.
Right.
Maybe some of that grant money can be used for Channel 77.
Right, so, but that
Right.
problem is that we're probably 5 years out,
Still
being
probably
able
5
to
years.
utilize that grant again.
And look, maybe at the end of the day, we can get Channel 77 back up and running just as it is, so let's see what happens.
Is there anything there now, Mayor? When you go now to Channel 77, is there any information in that
Yes,
direction?
so we do our slides that are there.
Okay.
And when Liz and I were talking about this, because Liz does that, she puts them up, but she doesn't program that. So if we run into a problem with that, unfortunately, we have no one who can fix that at this moment.
We have no slides either.
We have no slides
We'll
either,
lose
so
the slides.
we're going with what we have, it's running, but I can't promise that that'll even stay, depending on what happens in the future.
Because the
But we-
equipment is very old, and the program, you can't get service or anything on the program anymore, it's so old.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Liz.
Any questions for the administrator? Any questions? Okay. Can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments? Council
Second.
President Alidori, maybe second.
Second?
Councilwoman Kent, all in favor?
Aye.
Against, anyone from public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session?
So moved.
Councilman Vague, Councilman Denon, all in favor?
Aye.
Against. Privilege of the floor, anybody prefers the floor?
I just want to thank Administrator Boyle for helping me out with the, when I asked you to get something here to dig into the history of the ecological science and getting those reports. And yeah, you did a great job, and I thank you very much for that. Thank you. I'm gonna miss you in May.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Motion. Second.
Councilman Denon, Council President Alidori, thank you everyone for attending.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.